Hello, it's Danica Fife here and welcome to my channel, Fife and Flow. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to bunny hop. I'm going to be giving you some step-by-step instructions along with drills and realistic expectations of the learning process. So let's just jump into the expectations first. When I was learning how to bunny hop, I watched a couple tutorial videos and I really got frustrated. Not because they didn't give great tips, they really did, but none of the videos ever told me how hard it was gonna be. And I got really impatient with myself because I wasn't learning how to bunny hop within 5 days of practicing. And I want to put a disclaimer out there, is it took me hours and hours and a couple months to really perfect the bunny hop. And I want everyone out here watching this video to be patient with yourself. It's gonna take some hard work, but you will get it. So why learn how to bunny hop? Why are you watching this video other than just listen to me gab and gab? Well, bunny hopping is an essential skill for wanting to progress on your mountain bike. Not only is it really helpful for avoiding obstacles, saving you or your bike rims from damage, it also can make riding terrain a lot more fun when you can bunny hop features rather than plowing into them. Another really important reason is that bunny hopping is really similar to the technique of jumping. And so learning how to bunny hop first for me really helped me catch on to how to jump my bike after. So what has inspired me to make this video was last week my friends and I were practicing drills, and among them was trying out how to bunny hop. And we found out a bunch of fun drills to keep things interesting and to really progress how to learn rather than just laying all the tips out there and having you figure it out yourself, where I have a bunch of tips and drills to help you on the way. Okay, the first skill that I'm going to touch on is one that you're all pretty much familiar with, but I'm just going to breeze over it for those who are unfamiliar. So preloading. Preloading is super essential for learning how to bunny hop. With a full suspension bike, you have your 4 points of contact, your hands and your feet, and that's where you push into the bike and the bike rebounds back because of the suspension. Preload also occurs within your body with the stretch and shortening cycle of the muscles, and so it's also applicable with those who are on fully rigid bikes as well. Preload is really easy to see on a full suspension bike because when you press into the bike frame, the front fork and the rear shock compress. Now that we're familiar with preloading, it's now time to use that concept to help us with the front wheel lift. To execute a front wheel lift, you need to think about getting your whole body weight down and back. To accomplish this, I always think about moving my butt in a backwards L where I go down and behind the bike. A major point you want to keep in mind is to keep your arms straight when you move your weight back. You never want to bend your arms because it actually makes your weight get brought forward towards the front wheel and you're not able to sustain that lift for a long amount of time. And so to keep proper technique, you want to keep your arms straight and your weight back. The front wheel lift is not only the first part in a bunny hop, but it's also an essential skill on its own. Lifting your front wheel is great for climbing technical terrain or even going off drops. Once you feel like you have the front wheel lift technique totally dialed, then you want to do a little drill and add an external cue. So what I did was I grabbed a stick, and that way you can practice getting your front wheel over to get the correct timing. The next skill to learn is rear wheel lifts. So I do ride clips, however I did learn how to bunny hop with flats, which I recommend because in that way you don't rely on the clips to actually bring up your rear wheel, and you learn the proper technique with flat pedals. Here's a clip of my friend Linnea doing a great rear wheel lift with flat pedals. To properly rear wheel lift, you need to preload the bike. And when the bike is rebounding, you need to bring your weight up and forward. While doing so, you need to point your toes and scoop the pedals to bring the rear wheel up. I remember while I was learning how to bunny hop, this certain skill of getting the rear wheel up was really hard for me. But I had to mess around with it and really learn how to point my toes and scoop the pedals under, and I promise if you keep trying, you'll get it. After getting your technique of the rear wheel dialed, try adding your visual cue to perfect timing. Before totally integrating the front wheel lift and the rear wheel lift together to make a bunny hop, one drill I found really helpful was doing a front wheel lift, letting it land, and then consecutively doing a rear wheel lift. This is really helpful because when you're climbing up a trail and you're going really slow and you need to get over an obstacle, you don't have the speed to do a full-on bunny hop, so you have to do them separately. I recommend for this drill using one of your visual cues, like my stick, and then going really slow around walking speed in order to get your front wheel up, land, and then rear wheel up. Now it's the time you've all been waiting for. Drum roll, please. Learning how to do a full bunny hop. So at this point, you should be pretty confident with getting both wheels off the ground at different times. Now we're striving for getting them both off the ground. One thing that really helped me combine the two movements was imagining drawing a C with my handlebars, bringing my handlebars back, up, and forward throughout the motion. Here's a little clip of giving my friend Liz some advice on the bunny hop.
Yeah.
What you want to do is when you go down, like also compress your chest. Oh. So you're compressing this, because that when you go back and down, it helps bring it up. And then once your front wheel is up, that's when you kind of go up and you go on your toes. And that's when you do the C shape with the handlebars to bring it back.
Okay.
Yeah. One tip that I would recommend if you're really struggling with progressing would be film yourself and see what your body's doing when compared to other clips in this video. With filming yourself, it really helps with getting body awareness when learning how to bunny hop. And the most crucial tip of all is don't get too serious and go have some fun on your bike.
Get it, let's have video. Yeah.
Just like that. That's how you bunny hop right there. Thanks for watching, folks. Make sure to subscribe and good luck with developing your hops.